I'm personally very confused about why exactly we're here doing this. And from what I heard you say earlier, you've not been given any explanation or any notice from the governor of why he made the call.
I have received the same proclamation that you have received.
Okay. And this is not a process that you have personally asked for? This is redistricting, you've not personally asked for that?
Does anyone really ask to be chair of redistricting?
Well, yeah,
But I am here. No, I have not asked.
I just want to be clear, that as a chair of this committee, as a chair of the redistricting committee, that you did not say, Governor Abbott, please?
No, I did not.
And as far as you know, nobody on this committee has made those requests either?
Not to my knowledge.
Do you know if any member of the legislature went to the governor and said, we really could use this right now?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
Again, I'm limited to what I personally know.
No, I'm absolutely. And, I only know what I know, you only know what you know, and between the two of us, I don't think we know anything of why we're here.
I think the chair would say that the governor has put an item on the call. It is prudent and proper for the legislative committees to take up the items that the governor has designated. And what the legislature does with that is up to the legislature, but it's the chair's position that the governor has placed this item on the call, and we're going to take it up in a two-phase process.
And I know you keep up with this stuff. You're aware that we were recently, the state was recently involved in a trial, 3-week trial in El Paso over the maps that we passed in 21.
I have very general knowledge, not specific. I was not involved in that.
Same here. But are you aware that members of our body testified under oath in that trial saying that there was absolutely no racial gerrymandering in the current maps that we're discussing?
I'm generally aware of that.
Okay. Thank you. And you've not seen anything that would speak to the contrary?
No, I've certainly never seen any indication that any map that has been passed out of this legislature, anytime I've been in the legislature that I voted on, would violate in any way the Voting Rights Act. But again, I'm not a legal expert. I can just tell you what I know, and of course I voted on that. I had an opportunity to vote on the same maps that you did.
Have you personally seen any demographic evidence or any data of any kind that would suggest that or would say that there needs to be a mid-cycle redistricting?
Well, I think whether or not there needs to be mid-cycle redistricting is a matter of opinion. To your first question about whether I've seen evidence, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think your question was alluding, have I seen evidence of the current map engaged in some type of inappropriate violation of the VRA? Mm-hmm. And I have not.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So you have seen the letter from the Department of Justice objecting to the racial compositions of districts 9, 18, 29, and 33?
I have, and I have received a copy of it here, I believe, with all of you.
Yes. And I think you said this in your opening, but just to clarify, it is that letter that Governor Abbott cited in his proclamation for the special session?
He doesn't cite to a specific letter in his proclamation. He does reference concerns, I believe, raised by the U.S. Department of Justice.
Okay. Are you aware of any other way that DOJ has raised concerns beyond that letter?
That would have to be a question for the governor. I'm not aware of any other letter, though, personally myself.
Okay. I'm not either. I think it refers back to the letter. So the letter that you've read and I've read as well basically is asking Texas to dismantle those 4 districts because of their racial makeup. And my question is, do you believe, as the chair, does the committee believe that it is legal for us to intentionally dismantle majority-minority districts because of their racial composition?
I don't believe that the letter is a specific request for us to dismantle any district. However, it's the chair's intention at all times that we are going to follow the Voting Rights Act, and we're going to follow the law. And we have no plans to this moment to change any particular district. The purpose of today's hearing is, of course, to hear from the public before we go into that process.
Well, Mr. Chairman, the letter specifically says that these are coalition districts, meaning that they're majority-minority districts. and they say that they're unconstitutional. And we urge the state of Texas to rectify these race-based considerations from these specific districts. So it seems to me they're asking us to change the districts based on their racial makeup by virtue of the fact that they're majority-minority districts.
You'd have to refer specifically what the Department of Justice wants to do or not wants to do to them. The chair obviously did not have this letter addressed to him. And as far as I'm concerned, the whole point of this process is solely to respond to the governor's call. And we're going to take up congressional redistricting in that two-phase process I mentioned earlier. And I'd love to get to this first phase of hearing from the public.
No, I appreciate that. And I appreciate your point about Department of Justice didn't address the letter to you or any member of the legislature. Will we be hearing from the Department of Justice today?
I am not certain. Chair's not advised whether they have registered to testify. I believe that an open invitation was sent to everyone to register if they'd like to, and the vice chair has reached out to me and wanted to invite some individuals, and I've worked with him to do so, and we'll take any of his invited witnesses out of the regular order as a courtesy to the vice chair.
Appreciate that. Would we be able to formally invite the Department of Justice to come and testify before this committee? If not today, then in
I'd be happy
Houston
to
or in
talk with you
Arlington?
about that. I know the vice chair was thinking perhaps, but we can talk about that.
I think it'd be important to try to understand their legal basis for this exercise. Who are the, and just a couple more questions, Mr. Chairman, I appreciate we want to get to witnesses. Who are the legal advisors to our committee for this process?
My understanding is the House has retained Butler Snow, and I believe that, I'm not exactly certain of whether or not they represent the individual members of the committee, or, but I believe to respond to your inquiry, it would be Butler Snow.
Okay, but you're not sure if they're available to the entire committee?
That is a legal question. I don't want to give you an incorrect answer, right? So I'd be happy to look at that and get you an answer to that.
Okay, I appreciate that. Are there any other outside law firms that you're aware of that are involved in the process?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. And have you had, as you've kind of undertaken this process, have you had any discussions about this process with our Attorney General's office, General Paxton's office?
I received I cannot waive the attorney-client privilege during the regular session as to the litigation. I did receive a briefing of the litigation, but no, I have not communicated with the Office of the Attorney General regarding this redistricting process.
Okay, and I take it from your previous comment, you've not communicated with the Department of Justice?
I have not.
Okay. How about the White House?
I have not.
Okay. How about a gentleman named Adam Kincaid?
I honestly have no idea who that is.
Okay. My understanding is he's the person who drew the maps in the last decade. Anyone with the National Republican Redistricting Trust?
No.
Okay. And lastly, have you seen any proposed maps that the White House has sent?
No.
Or President Trump's operatives have sent?
No. I believe the only map that I have seen is the one that was posted to the public portal, which I reminded everyone, anyone in the public is invited to submit a map. Just because a map is put onto that portal does not mean in any way that is a map this committee was intending to take up or otherwise. The public is free to submit whatever the public wants.
Okay. So you've seen, no one has sent you any maps for this committee to consider?
No.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.